Serious business, this Teletubbies. What you reckon? G'day, TJ. How are you, mate? Got one person out there. I wasn't sure how it would work out for time. I don't know what time it is over there at the moment, but I'm a bit later than I am normally here in Australia. Doing good. Good to hear. What is it, Friday night? Are you in America? Or Australia? Might just be us today. Mason. G'day, Mason. How are you, mate? Say hello, Isabella. Yeah. Got another little friend here as well today. Beep, beep, beep. Our little native wood duckling is just hanging out to start getting tame. Good, mate. How are we doing? Not too bad. 9 o'clock in Indiana. Oh, well, it's like lunchtime, 12-ish here in Australia. Yeah, what am I doing? I've got a bit of a crazy day. I've got a show later on today. But yeah, the other half's doing some hairdressing, so it's daddy-daughter morning. Oh, I missed that. She looks so much like me. Yeah, no, she's there's no doubt about paternity, that's for sure. What you reckon? Yeah. 7 p.m. in Utah. You guys will all be getting ready to go out on a Friday night. Huh? She's off. She is cute. She's very mobile these days. Here we go. You can have the blocks. Nope. We got cartoons on, so it's pretty serious business. And away she goes. Say, hey, Isabella. Nope, have kids now. No going out for me. I get the feeling. Yeah. Not that I go out much anyway. Where is Boo? She needs a babysitter. Yeah, Boo is not allowed inside at the moment. She's in a little bit of trouble. I had her inside the other night and she peed all over the carpet. And yeah, she's in the doghouse. I was going to do this actually outside because Isabella loves Boo. But being lunchtime for the little tacker, I've got stuff in the oven. So I thought I won't stay outside and accidentally burn the house down. But I promise more Boo videos coming. I've actually got to film a video this afternoon for this week coming out, which will be on the importance of burrowing animals. So there'll be lots of Boo videos coming out. Yeah. Square poop on the floor? No poop, luckily. One thing about wombats is they seem to pick favourite spots to poop, and she holds it until she's either in front of her bed, because as we said about wombat poo, it means that nobody else is going to come in, or her pet pack, which is an unfortunate habit, but it means every time I take her to display, I need 2 sets of towels, because she holds it, I put her in her pet pack to transport her, she goes to the toilet, I pull her out, put clean towels on, and then we're right for the trip. Big job, but it works well. G'day, Olivia, how are you? Did a Halloween special Titanoboa facts. It sounds like a good one. I'll have to check it out. I'm not much of a Halloween person myself, being here in Australia, but it's catching on over here. But I'm never going to pass down the opportunity to learn about gigantic snakes. So, yeah, I'll look it up. Who else have we got out there? We've got Olivia and TJ and Mason and somebody else I skipped, sorry. And Laurie, yeah. Hello, everybody. Not sure if we'll get too many people after this. The largest snake that once existed 58 million years ago. Yeah, it'll be a hell of a snake to encounter. The very little I know about, and I haven't done a video on him, is that they attribute the climate at the time, allowing ectothermic animals to get to bigger sizes than they do today. Today, it would take an animal of that mass so long to warm up that it'd be nighttime again, it'd be cooling down. How is the weather over there? Ooh, what was the last bit? Warm yet? Wet yet? No, we're coming into spring. I actually need a little bit more rain because I'm about to put in some summer crop for my sheep to eat. But no, it's dry zone at the moment. Come back, duck. All right, sit down there. Got baby wood ducks running around. And, yeah, no, it's we're coming into spring, but our rain's probably finished. Where I live, we don't get summer rain. I'm putting the Teletubbies back on. There we go. When does the wet start? Also, I'm in southern part of Australia, so we don't have wet season, dry season. We have, same as I imagine you guys, we got, winter, spring, summer, autumn. So we get our rain starting Anzac Day, which is like March, April, through to about September. So we have our rain during the cool period. Once you live further up north, like where I used to live in Townsville, we had the opposite. Their wet season's just starting to ramp up. But now I'm too far south to have wet season, dry season. A bloody legend. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm just a reptile person with a cute kid and a bunch of really cool animals. But yeah, I hope that answers about our season. So I wish I was still up north in the tropics where we had wet season, dry season. It's all the herping and stuff kicks up during the wet season. But no, too far south for that, I'm afraid. What's everybody up to tonight? Not much if you've got the time to hang out and talk with us, but don't you want to watch the Teletubbies? Let's not knock that over. I need to purchase me a passport. Like in Darwin. Yeah, Darwin's a perfect example. North Queensland, where I used to live, is the same. All their rain over a couple of months of the year. No Slendy Teletubby. Oh, she normally loves the Teletubbies, but she's just at this age where she doesn't know if she wants to be on the ground or if she wants to be picked up, or snakes are a lot easier. Yeah, no. Clever girl. G'day, Jacqueline. How are you? Whoop. Is it good living there? Yeah, I can't fault it. Where I live down here, it's pretty cold by Australian standards, but I'm sure anybody in America would tell us to toughen up. Yeah, hello Isabella. She doesn't want to sit still for the camera. We're watching TV, aren't we? With Spyro the frillneck lizard. Excuse the messy glass. Sitting up behind her. Where's that duck going? Oh, the fear. Yeah, it's a terrifying, scary little... Who lives in the vivarium? My frillneck lizard, Spyro. Yeah. Oh, you're coming back now because of the duck. What noise does the duck make? Yeah, of all the animals I've got, taipans and crocodiles, it's the cute, fluffy things you got to worry about. So, of course, me being me, hysteric Spyro, really, somebody loves... I'm not much of a video game fan, I just like corny names. Yeah, the duck, so I've got two of these little fellas, they were born here, and we've brought them inside. Me being me, they're not domestic ducks, they're a native Australian duck, they're a wood duck, or a freckled wood duck. So we're hoping to grow them up, and we can talk about wetlands and ecology and things like that, so... which is why we want to get him nice and friendly, where, kids can pat him and things. So, I've got the parents outside, but they free range my house, and unfortunately every year we lose the babies to crows and foxes. So, this year I thought I'll bring them inside, and handle them up. We have whistling ducks. Where do you live? I used to live in Townsville, in Billabong Sanctuary. I think you had half the whistling ducks in the country. We've got wood ducks in the United States. Yeah, they're a different... I suppose wood duck is a common name, you know, so... we've got several species that we call wood ducks locally. This one's called the wood duck, and they're not all actually related. It's a bit like you've got a green tree frog, and it's completely different to our green tree frog. They're just both green tree frogs. Yeah, I suppose it's nice guitar. Yeah, no, it's pretty beat up. I've had it since I was 18 or 16. Yeah, one day I'll learn to play. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm sure yours are just as cool. Our chooks don't like sharing with the ducks. Yeah, we've got a goose that thinks it's a human that herds our ducks, and well, we hand reared him hoping that he'd keep the foxes away. I'm a Five Nights at Freddy's person. What's Five Nights at Freddy's? I hope it's easy to take care of. The duck? Yeah, well, they're not too bad. They're just a little bit hard to get tamed. They're usually a really skittish species, but I don't know anybody else using native water birds for shows. So I thought, it'd be a good thing to be able to teach, especially we live in an area where duck hunting is pretty popular. Which, whether you're for or against it, it'd be nice to teach people about being responsible. Check it out, it's a game series. Isabella's looking for Boo. Oh, Isabella is always looking for Boo. We did a show the other day where Isabella had to come with me. And we visited a friend, and they wanted to see the wombat. And they're pretty convinced Isabella thinks she's a wombat. Isabella would not interact with people because she crawls around with the wombat. Don't you? I don't even know what this cartoon is. Shows these days. Wombats are so cute. Yeah, they're pretty hard not to like. Like I was saying, I wish I could do this episode outside, but I've got dinner on for the baby, and me being the forgetful person I am would burn the house down if I stayed outside. So yeah, it's inside today. But there is a Boo video coming out. Introduce Isabel to Sir David. Well, I don't know. We'd have to get our videos a lot more popular before Isabella's able to meet Sir David. You'd like to have one as a pet, a wombat. Everybody who sees Boo wants a wombat as a pet. And most of those people don't see how much it cost and how much time it took me to build an enclosure to keep her. The other thing with wombats is Boo's a baby. She's obviously friendly now, and I'm hoping that she stays that way. But some of the most aggressive animals I've met at parks have been wombats as well. So they're not an ideal pet. There is maybe 3 people in Victoria keeping wombats privately. The rest are kept under educational permits for this kind of work, where obviously it's easier for an educator to keep a wombat friendly because it's not like I'm handling her every day. I've got thousands of people every week that want to handle her. So I can get my animals a level of interaction that I probably couldn't if it was just me sitting at home. Yeah. 8 people out there. Who else have we got? I've trained your possums. Yeah, ringtail possums are one of my favourites, and I've got a baby brushtail that we're hand rearing as well. Well, he's basically weaned now, but that's still young, that we're handling up. Wombats can be very mean. Yeah, they certainly can. Not mean because they want to be, just they're solitary animals and they're territorial. And often what happens is when you hand raise them, they get to wombat puberty, I suppose, and they start to think, all right, I'm solitary, I'm territorial, I'm a human being, I better fight other human beings. And I looked after one called Nugget up in Townsville, who was hand raised. And outside his enclosure, he'd like a pat and a scratch. And if you walked into the enclosure, you were the enemy. He would chase you around and try and bite you and bowl you over. And it's not that he's a bad animal, it's just that in the wild, he'd defend his territory from other wombats. And because he thinks he's a human, he feels the need to defend his territory from other humans. G'day, Tradie, how are ya? Wombats almost sound like they have ASD. Yes, I am ASD. ASD is that autism spectrum disorder. Keep a snake a lot easier. I have a Stimson's python. Yeah, I've got a couple of Stimson's pythons. Fetch this duck over here. Come here. I like fruit bats. Oh, I adore fruit bats. I had one called Petrie years ago, and he was kind of like a little flying fox. It was very hard for me to get because of all the disease, autism spectrum disorder. I thought I had that, right? But yeah, all the disease risks and stuff with flying foxes. It took me ages to convince Parks and Wildlife to give me a permit. And eventually, I got one. And we had him for quite a few years, and he caught a fungal infection from wild flying foxes. And yeah, passed away. But he was amazing. He used to spend his days inside the house on a clothes horse. I know we've got to be gentle with the duck. On a clothes horse, and when we'd walk through, he'd just flop onto the floor. Yeah, gentle. And crawl across the floor. He could fly, but he'd rather walk across the ground to you. Really funny. Other cool thing about fruit bats is because they live upside down, they have to turn the right way around to pee, so they don't peel over themselves. Funny fact. Yeah, I'd have him hanging in like a cage on display, and people would turn around, or he'd turn around, and people would get right in front of his face, like, "What's he doing?" I say, "Step back." About to get peed on by a flying fox. What's that? What did I miss? Totally antisocial, Jacqueline. That's all right. I suppose, yeah. You can be social with us. We're a friendly bunch here, I think. Gentle. How about this end? I almost had a deer as a pet. I've got a friend with a pet deer. It looks really cool, but gentle. G'day, young sir and young lady. We're trying not to terrorise my wood duck too much. And off we go. Hang on, Isabella, I'll get you a rice cracker. 1 second, guys. Am I sitting on your foot or a toy? What's that? We have flying foxes. They're currently in the Kadagi at the moment. Sounds like screaming in the back. Oh, it's kids' shows in the background. The only way we're going to have Isabella sit still, she's just like Boo. She either needs food or cartoons. Didn't know that fruit bats pee. Yeah, everything's got to pee, I suppose. I don't think there's any vertebrates that don't. But yeah, they don't want to peel over themselves, so yeah, they turn around the right way. Whoa, heaps of comments. Screaming curlews, 2 a.m. Yeah, when I used to live in towns, we had heaps of curlews. We called them banshee birds, because that's what they sounded like in the middle. Oh, I'm going to be 35 years old. Well, soon? Happy birthday. I'm 28 years old, so not too far behind you. She's cute. Mum off to work. Yeah, no, Mum's cutting, doing some hairdressing. The other half's a hairdresser by trade, but she's got a little salon just out the other side of our property. So I'm on babysitting duty, and then this afternoon we swap over because I've got to pack up my animals and go to a birthday party. So it's all hands on deck. We've got 2 birthday parties tomorrow. So I've got to feed the animals somehow. Yeah, everybody happy birthday for TJ. Here you go. Here's the other one. One for each hand is better. There we've got a contented baby. Isabella. Yeah. Rice crackers fix everything. You don't need another one. You've only got 2 hands. So, yeah, I suppose I'm just dropping by to say hello because I've got a day off. But does anybody have any actually, an interesting topic I read a paper on the other day, or an article. There's a new species of crocodile being described this week. It's the first species of crocodile to be formally described in 80 years. Till Isabella smushes a rice cracker into Dad. Yeah, pretty much. So the other day, Scientists studying the slender-snouted crocodile in Central and Western Africa have realised that the central... Does anyone believe the Tassie tiger actually still exists? Lots of people believe the Tassie tiger still exists. I'm personally not one of them, but there's groups and clubs and stuff set aside just for the search of the Tassie tiger. Does my partner love animals just as much, or does she have a favourite animal? Horses. She's mad keen on horses. Between the two of us, we've got 8 of the things. Yeah, so she likes horses. She's terrified of reptiles. She's not into reptiles at all. She'll check my gigantic whiteboard list of jobs to see that I've ticked everything off and looked after them properly, but she won't touch any of them herself, which is fine. They're not everybody's cup of tea. But she does help with some of the pencil pushing and stuff behind the business. Soft skin, yeah, one of the main differences with this Central African slender-snouted crocodile and West African slender-snouted crocodile was, the skin, one's softer than the other and has less osteoderms, I believe, less of the bony plates on their back. So it's split the two. So in one way, it's really cool. There's a new species of crocodile. The sad news, however, was when they were all considered one species, they had a big distribution and a relatively stable population. But now that we've basically said everything east of this mountain range is a different species, there's only 500 on the other side, the western side of the mountain range, which makes the West African slender-snouted crocodile a critically endangered species. So that makes it 5, I believe, species of crocodilian that are critically endangered. We've got the Chinese alligator, the Siamese crocodile, the Orinoco crocodile, the Philippine crocodile, and now this West African slender-snouted crocodile, all in critical risk of becoming extinct. Hang on, one tick. I'll pop this duck back in his box so we can keep him warm. I'll be back in just a minute. You holding the fort for me, Isabella? What did we miss, eh? Thanks for holding on, guys. Less osteoderms equals reduced defenses means they have less predators. Yeah, the issue is, and I don't know about this species, but historically speaking, less osteoderms also means more valuable skin, which means more poaching pressure. It's the main reason why the freshwater crocodile wasn't poached until after the saltwater crocodile was basically hunted into the point where we couldn't catch them very easily anymore. It's also the reason that Cayman crocodilus, the spectacle cayman, one of the cayman species, was never wiped out at the same time as the Orinoco crocodile was hunted to the brink of extinction. It's got more osteoderms, more bony plates in its skin, which basically means you get less usable leather per foot of crocodile. So yeah, softer skin, it could be an issue for them. Black cayman, there we go, thank you. Oh, black cayman, isn't that... Oh, I swear black cayman wasn't Cayman crocodilus. You're probably right. I just thought it nucus or something, don't I? Having never worked with caymans, I'm not an expert on it. Very true about the coaching, but it may encourage breeding. Yeah. The West African one, the one with the more osteoderms, crazy that people want to wear croc skin. Yeah, it is. I suppose today we've almost come full circle. I believe that the Northern Territory has a... Queensland, not so much, but the Northern Territory has a very good system. The reality is, whether we like it or not, people want crocodile skin. And the Territory have a system, you're probably aware, Coop. Guys, by the way, if you're into reptiles, check out Coop's Reptiles. If you like my videos, you'll love his. Why is croc skin popular? People like something different and exotic. But basically, while croc skin has been a huge issue for crocodile conservation, it can also be a benefit for crocodile conservation in some places. Here in Australia, a lot of people want to kill crocodiles, not for their skin, just because their crocodiles. They want to get rid of them because they're eating cows or they're a danger to swimmers or whatever. Yeah, you're right, Jacqueline. Croc skin can be very sustainable. But here in Australia, I think the benefit of crocodile skin is, as I was saying, a lot of people want to get rid of crocodiles regardless. And once upon a time, if we had a mining company want to destroy a national park, you'd only have park rangers and greenies waving their arms up and down. Whereas today, in the Northern Territory, you don't breed crocodiles. You apply for a permit to collect crocodile eggs from the wild. They give you a certain amount in a certain area on your map that you're allowed to collect them from. And basically, they've made those national parks worth money. So now, when a land developer wants to demolish a national park or something, we don't just have greenies and park rangers. We've got, wealthy, powerful organisations also standing next to us trying to protect these areas. It's unfortunate that that's what's going to happen, but basically you've either got to be cute and cuddly or you have to make somebody money. Otherwise, the world doesn't care. And we've made crocodiles worth money. Think of it as if you're a cattle station owner. Even though crocodiles are protected, you can apply for permits to shoot crocodiles in your stretch of river if you're losing cattle from them. And as much as I love crocodiles are one of my favourite animals, and I worked with them fairly extensively. Some crocodiles are certainly cattle killers. It's just the reality. Personally, I do think crocs need to be managed differently. I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, let's imagine you're a station owner, and you can apply for a permit to kill crocodiles because they're costing you some money. Once upon a time, you would have got rid of all of them if you can. Today, let's say you've got somebody like me who's saying, look, I will pay you 20 cents for every egg I collect, and I've got a permit to collect 20,000 eggs. Suddenly you, as a cattle station owner, start thinking, oh, maybe I'll leave those crocodiles there. Actually, I had a friend who ran a cattle station. So yeah, we've made an incentive. Destroy me meme video in the reptile. Yeah, basically we've made them valuable to keep around. So it's unfortunate, but in a weird way, if everybody lost interest in crocodile skin, farmers would just shoot them as a nuisance rather than tolerating them as a potential profit, which sucks. But any conservation is better than no conservation, so it helps. As far as crocodile management today, I don't know where in the country you're based. We've got very different opinions depending where you are. But personally, I think that the Northern Territory has the best crocodile management program in the world. We have the highest density of saltwater crocodiles on Earth and the lowest rate of attack per capita of anywhere else on Earth. Now, when you compare it to places in Indonesia, where they're culling, the crocodiles are almost extinct in large parts of Indonesia, but their attacks are 10, 20 times higher than the rate here in Australia. Queensland, yeah, so I used to live in Townsville, or in a town called Alligator Creek, south of Townsville. And their management program's a little bit different. You can't collect eggs in the wild. The reason being is the rate of survival for crocodiles in Queensland is significantly lower than the territory. Mostly as a result of lack of nesting habitat. So imagine the Northern Territory, there is no physical obstacle when they're pushing inland. It's just when they run out of water. That's why they found as far south as Katherine, a couple of 100 k's inland. In Queensland, unless you're talking about the top end of Cape York, they can only come in until they hit the Great Dividing Range, which in Townsville is a couple of kilometres. So there's much less breeding habitat, and that's been the argument thus far. As far as them moving into new areas, I'm strongly of the opinion that there is not a single place that crocodiles have moved into that is new. The issue is they've moved into places that they were shot out of by our grandparents. So our generation of people don't remember them being in this waterhole or that area because they haven't been there for maybe 100 years. But when you think about it logically, crocodiles have had 280 million years to spread wherever the climate will allow them to spread. If a place suits crocodiles, they've already found it. It's just that we eradicated them from some places and they're moving back. And culling, it's been proven, has no overlap with safety or the levels of attacks. As we said in Indonesia, very low crocodile numbers means lots of people using the water, means lots of people attacked by one or two crocodiles. So the danger with culling, as far as management, is if we say, look, we've got rid of the crocodiles, people start getting in and attacks will go up. There was a man killed in 1975, which was the year crocodiles were protected, in Queensland, just north of Cairns. And at the time, crocodiles were almost extinct. There was about 5,000 adult crocs in the country. But because of this, a lot more people were willing to get in the water. It's why nobody ever gets attacked in Alligator River in near Darwin. Because we know there's crocodiles there. It's more obscure places like Black Jungle Swamp, the little girl Brody that was killed by a crocodile a few years ago, where people aren't being croc savvy, unfortunately. So we certainly need to change things. We need better signage. So I know crocs didn't start eating cane toad infestations. We need to start devastating. Yeah, the toads are a big issue. The saltwater crocodile has a natural tolerance. Not because he overlaps with cane toads, but he overlaps in his Southeast Asian range with other toad species which have very similar toxins. The freshwater crocodile has no tolerance to cane toads though. And the pygmy population of the freshwater crocodile near Bullow River in the escarpment country, they're going to be in big trouble because of the cane toads. The cane toads have gone through there in the last couple of years. As far as I'm aware, there hasn't been a follow-up study. There was a real hurried study in the Bullow River region to check how many freshwater crocodiles there was prior to cane toads arriving, so they could get a baseline. But I don't know if they've had the funding to go back and check again. Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry, while I was ranting, I missed a few comments. Croc meat is actually becoming more popular. Yeah, crocodile meat certainly an interesting thing. I think it's very overrated. I've eaten it a couple of times, but it's nothing special. But it's probably a gimmick for tourists. They love it. And compared to how much money the skin's worth, need a digital whiteboard. I'm not much of a technological person. I can barely use a phone, and I only bought a tripod in the last couple of months. I used to stick my phone on top of rocks and all sorts of stuff. I'm slowly getting there. But yeah, croc meat, compared to the money of the skins, they farm them for the skins, and the meat they've got to sell to get rid of it somehow. Didn't realise that I was live until I checked the page. It didn't notify me. Sorry, Wildlife Spot. I've tried setting it like 20 minutes before I went live, hoping people would get an announcement. But yeah, I'm still figuring this stuff out. I'm not very good at it. I'd rather play with snakes and crocodiles. Croc skins are worth a lot of money. Yeah, croc skin is why they're farmed. The meat is just surplus. In fact, saltwater crocodile skin is worth so much that most crocodile skin you see for sale in Australia, with the exception of like the hat bands, the skin from the back, is not from Australia. We sell our crocodile skin overseas to Japan and France, the top markets. And like most Australian products, we buy back the lower quality stuff from Southeast Asia. Crocodile farms in Thailand and things. So yeah, we're too cheap to use our own product. We sell it for top dollar and we buy back the lower quality stuff. The good stuff goes into high-end fashion apparently. It's very friendly, healthy for those with non-alcohol fatty liver disease, and yeah, it does carry flavour well. People ask what crocodile tastes like. I say it tastes like whatever you cook it with. It's got no taste at all. It's been quite a few years since I had it, but like I said, I used to work at a zoo. We bred 1,000 crocodiles, and Italy, yeah, that's the other main one. I knew I was skipping one. Japan, Italy, and France. But yeah, like we used to sell 1,000 crocodiles a year to crocodile farms, and you know, they'd bring a few trinkets and stuff for the trade. So we had crocodile meat in the cafe up there, but it was a novelty. Yeah, kangaroo meat, I suppose, is a very, very healthy. What does a kangaroo leather bullwhip cost you there? I don't know any Australians that make bullwhips. We've got what we call a stock whip, which, well, Australian stockmen or ringers, which is our equivalent of your cowboys, they use a stock whip. It's a slightly different weave. My stock whip cost me $110. Yeah. Which I use, yeah, mostly for training dogs, just to direct them which way to go, or to get their attention when I've got a young dog that is working stock and he's focused too much on the stock. From 100 meters away, you can hear that crack, and he stops and looks up. So I don't use it on cattle, but yeah, the stock whip is our equivalent, and yeah, $110. Is the cane toad population decreasing? There is no signs of the cane toad population slowing down, I'm afraid. 300 plus. I'm sure you could get some, yeah, expensive ones there, here as well. We have a couple of whips that have been passed down through the family. That's cool. Yeah, they're, I suppose, probably more mass produced now than They don't last as long, and a good quality, like anything, you can buy a cheap one or a good quality one, you know. But yeah, there's no signs of cane toads decreasing in numbers. Professor Rick Shine, a famous herpetologist, has identified a toxin in cane toad poison, which works as an attractant to their tadpoles. Because the issue is, you know, as much as people mean well going out and hitting cane toads on the head one by one, it makes zero ecological difference. Because the one toad that survives has 60,000 babies, it's going to keep growing up. Bufotoxin, yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of toxins in the cane toad poison. I don't know if it's bufotoxin, which is of course the famous one that's poisonous, or if it's a smaller protein or something in there. I'm not that much of a scientist. But he's found something in this that attracts the tadpoles. So we're able to trap them at the tadpole stage. Put in these basically big plastic tubs with one-way traps, and the tadpoles can go in, and native tadpoles aren't attracted. So who knows, if this takes off, it might take several years for it to make a difference because we're catching them as babies. So we need to wait for the existing generation to die off. But if we can catch them as babies, will be our best bet. So hopefully, yeah, no changes yet, but we might have a dent in their numbers one day. Family grew up with Charters Towers. Yeah, I know Charters Towers relatively well. Like I said, I lived in Townsville, which is just east of Charters Towers. So yeah, I'm familiar with Charters Towers. Do we have any toads in Australia? We only have one true toad, which is the cane toad, and he's feral. They brought him here from Central America via Hawaii. Did you see our buddy Kenan just got hitched? Yeah, I did. Yeah, congratulations to him. I actually sent an email off to Kenan because they're coming to Australia soon. And we're trying to arrange, I'm trying to arrange to meet up with him because it'd be fantastic to, you know, get our Australian wildlife further afield. Do I want to see the thylacine in real life? I'd love to see the thylacine in real life, but I don't believe there's any left out there. A lot of people still do claim there is, but it's not scientific evidence. Love to meet Kenan. Well, he's going to New South Wales, Coop. He's catching up with Neville Burns, is one of his current plans. And he can't come down where I am, but we're hoping to go and meet him along the way. He's going to New South Wales, then driving from Cairns to Darwin. So, yeah, we'll see if maybe we can make something work together. Who knows? Your channel's a lot bigger than mine. I'm sure he'd be interested. G'day, Boas. How are you? So, yeah, about the thylacine in real life, I don't think there's any out there. Some scientists believe that they're going to have the ability very soon to clone them, which, you know, would be interesting. But I don't think it's conservation-wise the most important thing. The issue is they're gone. We've got, 100 species on... We've got a lot of species in Australia that are still critically endangered. The Gilbert's potteroo. 33 Gilbert's potteroos in the whole world. Kenan might take a tour of the Adelaide River. I did suggest that. I've got a friend who used to work on the jumping crocodile cruise that I'll put him in touch with. Looks like you're doing well since you're out of... Yeah, I'm doing much better. I have a few sore days here and there, but yeah, much better, thank you. Yeah, people think they want to clone them, but like I said, we've got the Gilbert's potteroo, 33 animals, the northern hairy-nosed wombat, there's 250. The burrowing bettong and the marla, they only exist in habitat that's fenced off from cats. Night parrots, there's all these other animals that are right on the brink of extinction where there's only so much money for conservation. And I think it should be spent on the animals that we still have rather than the ones that we've lost. The other issue with cloning a thylacine is currently all wildlife is owned and managed by state governments. But if you bring back an animal, does that belong to the laboratory that creates it? Quolls, yeah, they're certainly struggling on the mainland. Gastric breeding frogs, yeah, that'd be a very cool animal to bring back. Who knows, maybe we will one day. But yeah, I think we've got to stop losing animals before we start bringing back other animals. Yeah, invasives are the major issue. The Typolidae family. You'll have to let me know who they are. I'm not brilliant with all my genus names outside the common stuff. People need to step up, take responsibility. I agree with you in somewhat. The sad or the scary thing is, a lot of people don't actually know that these animals exist. You know, like I obviously visit schools and birthdays and events with Boo, our wombat. And the amount of Australians who have no idea that we have a wombat on the brink of extinction, that, you know, happily put a couple of bucks in the Sea Shepherd's money box when they go past the shops, or, thanks Isabella, happily put a couple of bucks towards Sea Shepherd or Panda research, who would just as happily do it for Australian animals. Most Australians don't know we have these animals that need our help. So, yeah, people need to take responsibility, but we need to show them where to be taking responsibility. So, hi, John. Serious stuff. We've got the cartoons on now, so... Yeah, education is lacking. Most kids in Australia probably know more about exotic wildlife. It's brought back, it could hypothetically be domesticated, kind of like dogs. Let me read the rest of that. Would there be a difference in intelligence? Most likely. You know, the thylacine is a marsupial. It's closer to kangaroos than it is to dogs. And as much as I love marsupials, marsupials, as a general rule of thumb, don't have the same level of intelligence, what we consider intelligence. You know, nobody's smarter at being a fish than a fish. But compared to a dog, has less intelligence, which is one of the reasons the dingo probably impacted the thylacine on the mainland. It's not because they're less cool, it's just Australia's never joined into these other countries. So canids, dogs, wolves, foxes, jackals, their whole family evolved in North America, where every time there was an ice age, North America joined to Europe through Russia, and all these new animals moved in. And everybody there either had to get smarter, faster, fitter, or die. So their animals have constantly evolved to cope with competition. Australian animals have been isolated for so long, they've never had that push from animals overseas. So, yeah, they would be less intelligent than a dog, in my humble opinion. But, you know, it's how do we measure intelligence? I have a dingo Aztec, who you might have seen in our videos, and somebody who didn't know him very well might think he's less intelligent than a border collie, because you can't, well, it's hard to teach him to sit, stay, drop, all this kind of thing. He knows all those things, but the difference is he looks at me as an equal rather than a leader. He's actually more intelligent. Dingoes have proven our problem-solving abilities that dogs lack, but they're also hard to train. So, you know, it's not that straightforward to say. What's intelligence. As far as do we have placental mammals in Australia? Somebody asked it a while back. Let me see. Oh, it's a while back now. I can't find it. But yeah, somebody was asking, do we have placental mammals? We do. The placental rodents, they've arrived in Australia about 6 million years ago. We've got 30-something native rodents, native hopping mice, rats. And they're some of the worst hit by introduced species like cats. Hang on one second, I better turn this oven off. Oh, we can come with me, eh? We've got 6 species of hopping mouse that are extinct in Australia in the last 100 years. So we're losing a lot of animals, unfortunately. We've also got, as far as placental mammals go, our flying foxes, who of course are able to get here by flying across. And we've also got our seals. Other than that, the dingo is the only other one, who obviously was a much later arrival. Between 6,000 and 12,000 years, depending who you believe. You have something called the kangaroo rat. Yeah, I've never got to see one in real life, but I've seen them on plenty of documentaries. They're completely unrelated to our hopping mouse, but it's what we call convergent evolution, where the same trait works so well that it's evolved independently in 2 or more cases. Kind of like an echidna and a hedgehog. Not related whatsoever. Flying foxes have a somewhat bad rap up here because of Hendra. Yeah, Hendra's Lysivirus is the other one. Hendra's probably more common than Lysivirus, or definitely more common than Lysivirus. Lysivirus is found in some Australian flying foxes, and it's our version of rabies. And that can be passed on from a flying fox to a person if you're bitten or scratched, something like that. The thing is, there's only ever been 2 people die of Lysivirus. Convergent evolution, that's the one. And there's a vaccine for it. And it's very, very low. It's less than 1% of flying foxes carry it. But what we've realised is flying fox populations under stress, it increases in number. So if we start culling flying foxes, we actually start increasing stress. Lyssavirus and Hendra works in a similar way. Will start spreading through that population, and also we start forcing them to move and spreading that disease around. So it's certainly a health concern. It's why nobody should ever touch a flying fox unless they've been vaccinated. You should always call a wildlife care. But it doesn't necessarily mean culling is the answer. As much as I do love wildlife, I'm also not a complete greenie. I've pretty common sense with that sort of things, I believe. But in this case, culling's not going to make the situation better. Hendra is a bit trickier because a human cannot catch Hendra off a flying fox. A human catches Hendra off a horse, who catches it off a flying fox. And there's a vaccine for horses. I'm not an immunologist. I have heard that there is some side effects that some horses have experienced from the vaccine, and that's why not everybody wants to do it. And a lot of people just simply don't want to spend the money vaccinating their horses. But it's preventable. There's other options out there to help people and flying foxes live side by side. Because flying foxes, of course, Jacqueline, if you're up north, you'll be more than aware. They're keystone species. They carry seed from tropical plants from one area to another area. So they're very important. Vaccine for Hendra is expensive. Yeah, I've heard. I don't have to vaccinate our horses. We live. There's some flying foxes down here, but it's too south for the virus Hendra to survive, so it's not done down here. But like I said, culling actually increases the transfer of Hendra from flying fox to flying fox. So I don't know what the other option is besides general hygiene. Like washing your hands after you brush your horses, which I live with animals every day and I've got young children. General cleanliness goes a long way as well. I get that it's a scary topic, and it's something that gets in the media whenever it happens. But there's lots of things like that we can do to avoid it. But the vaccine, as expensive as it might be, is certainly a good start. We've got to start somewhere, don't we? Is there a kangaroo hunting season? No, kangaroos are protected throughout Australia, but most states have a permit system where properties that are being damaged by kangaroo numbers can apply for permits to cull on those areas. There's no open and closed season. It's like a tag-based system. You write in a letter, they give you 200 tags. I've ever been bit by a baby animal. I've been bit by lots of by a rabid animal. No, there's no rabies in Australia. Yeah, Lyssavirus. Help rainforest propagate and spread. Yeah, you're right. That's why flying foxes are so important. No rabies. Yeah, no, I've never been bitten by anything with rabies. I do have my rabies vaccination just because I've worked with flying foxes, and the rabies vaccination is the same as the Lyssavirus vaccination. But we don't have true rabies in Australia, so I wouldn't come in contact with a rabid animal anyway. Feral pigs, anything exotic. Feral pigs, feral goats, buffalo, camels, all that sort of stuff. There's no open closed season. The only exception is deer, which have an open and closed season because they're worth money. People pay for permits, so they protect them in parts of the year. But all the other invasive species, there's no open closed season. It's just wildlife. We want to conserve wildlife numbers while reducing feral numbers. Paralysis, ticks, and Q fever. Yeah, I had my Q fever vaccination. I work on a farm, so we're always working around meat. I know a bloke with Q fever, and it sucks. Brownsea Island and Pool, they have red squirrels, some of them leprosy at the moment. Leprosy, I heard armadillos also carry leprosy. In Brazil, most of their leprosy cases come from people eating badly cooked armadillo meat. Old bushmeat, tradition's tradition, but a lot of diseases have come through exotic meats. That's where the AIDS virus transferred into people through the consumption of bushmeat, eating primates in Central Africa. Would you consider kangaroos as a successful species? Yeah, they're a very successful species. They colonised the entire continent of Australia, and they've evolved to live in some of the harshest climates on Earth. They're found everywhere from the high country, above the snow line, to the centre of the desert. So, very, very successful species. Yeah. They've got some interesting reproductive techniques to help them survive hard times as well. How can they eat them? Eat what? Your ticks are more dangerous than the ticks we have in the States. Yeah, well, we've got the paralysis tick, which is bad news. It kills a fair few dogs. You need anti-venom for a paralysis tick. I think your Lyme disease over there is a bigger issue. I believe it's here in Australia as well, but you hear about it in the States a lot more, Lyme disease. Don't know. But yeah, ticks are nasty little things. Not all of them. We've got the bush tick. Hang on. Sorry about all the moving around. We've got the bush tick who is gross, but he doesn't do any harm. This makes you itchy and sore. Oh. That wasn't very straight. Yeah, the bush tick who makes you itchy and sore. But yeah, the paralysis tick can kill people too. Yeah. So the paralysis tick is the bad one. Have I been bitten by them? I've had a few bush ticks on me in the past, but yeah, not too much worse. Have I tried? I tried taking them out of lizards. Hang on. Whoop. Lizards' ears with tweezers. Yeah, so I've got outdoor blue tongue lizards, and every year, sort of February, March, I get a few ticks in the ears of my blue tongues, and I'll pluck them out. But you've got to be very, very careful because the blue tongue skink, anyway, his eardrums are fairly easy to puncture. If you've not done it before, you probably don't want to try it. You want to get somebody else to help you out because you can hurt them. In mammals, use a wart freezing thing to kill and remove ticks. Yeah, I wouldn't do it on a reptile. I've always plucked them out of reptiles. I suppose the benefit with our reptiles is being native. They've evolved alongside our ticks. So the only times I've ever heard of ticks being an issue for reptiles, I pluck them off when I see them, but it's when they're really overburdened, like covered in them, where they become anemic, basically. But a healthy animal that's able to move through its environment is probably losing them as it sheds its skin. Vaseline. I haven't tried Vaseline. Yeah. Used to get them when we worked up the mines. I was out in the bush catching snakes from mine sites, and there's a few ticks up there. We cover all the interesting topics here, don't we? Ticks and new species of crocodile and wombats and cartoons and all sorts of things. They say alcohol, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not much of a... Do emus live in Australia? Emus live nowhere but Australia. Yeah. Australia's home to the emu. We get emus 25 minutes from my house. Yeah, native to Australia. Funny thing, the Australian Army actually, we say we lost a war to the emus. This live stream has been excellent. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's a bit all over the place, but that's what it's... But yeah, in Western Australia, after the First World War, there was a big drought, and emus were moving on to cattle stations and cropping country and eating all their crops. And we had a bunch of returned soldiers with nothing to do. So the Australian Army sent out a group of blokes with machine guns, and they managed to shoot 10 emus and have like 20,000 of them get away, and they declared that they lost to the emus. Big range of topics. Yeah, it's not the kind of video I normally do. I normally like the weekly video. I try and do it on a Wednesday where it's nice and structured and we tackle a question. But I enjoy getting to meet you guys better, and this is a good chance to talk. Have I ever eaten their eggs before? I've never had emu eggs before, no. No, there's pretty sure you got to be a traditional owner to go and collect them or anything. It was called the Emu War. Yeah, there's a good episode from a YouTube channel called Simple History on the Emu War. There, got a funny little animation about it. Cassowaries, emus, ostriches, kiwis. The other one is the rhea, which lives in South America, which is in the same family called ratites, the flightless birds. Been a good live stream. Thanks for answering questions. That's what I'm here for. I don't know all the answers, but I try my very best. I always feel laid back and listening to you and reading comments. Yeah, ratites, that's the family. The main difference is not flightlessness. Do I know the gimpy plant? Not off the top of my head. Is that the tree nettle? I could be way off the mark, but I think that's the same as the tree nettle. It's not the size that makes them ratites, because the kiwi is only little. And we've got penguins, the emperor penguin's bigger than a kiwi. It's the lack of a sternum. So ratites lack the bone that goes down here, which is where the flight muscles all attached to. Whereas the ratites lack that bone. So other flightless birds, like there's a flightless cormorant in the Galapagos, have that bone because they're a bird that once flew and lost the ability to fly. Whereas the ratites evolved like pre-dinosaurs. They never had the ability to fly. So yeah, that lack of a sternum is what separates ratites from other birds. If I remember my university biology well. The plant that drives people to kill themselves from pain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same as the tree nettle. Or the stinging nettle tree. I think they're just common names. Yeah, it makes people itch. It's got tiny little hairs. They break off into the skin. And they've got microscopic barbs. They work their way in. It takes 12 months or something to go away. It's meant to be terrible. I don't plan on... Kiwis are very neat. Yeah, they're very cool birds. Makes people itch, yeah. Yeah, it's meant to feel like, I'm told it feels like putting your hand in boiling water. Like, it's bad. Even our plants want to hurt you here in Australia. What are we learning on TV? We've still got 13 people out there, 14 people. It's good fun talking to everybody today. I'll have to leave before too long, but get ready for some shows. What's everybody else got planned for the weekend? It's Saturday for us Australians and Friday night for everybody over in the States. Do we have anybody else from other parts of the world? We usually have a Canadian pop up and a few other people. Where's everybody from? Bless you, Isabella. Stinging nettle bush. We got these in North America. They itch real bad when touched. Yeah, so we got stinging nettle. Like they get, like 4 foot high. And then we call the stinging nettle tree, which is like a tree. It's completely unrelated, but they burn. So we Australians don't come up with new names. We just name things after other things that we've found. California, West Australia, Queensland, Texas. Me and my other half always wanted to visit Texas. We're both right into rodeo, so it doesn't get much better than Texas. Utah. Yo, we're outnumbered. It's mostly Americans here today. You guys should all be out on a Friday night. From the UK, it's 3 a.m. What are you doing awake at 3 a.m., Wildlife Spot? I hope I'm not keeping you up. Indiana? It's really unpredictable weather. Where is an unpredictable weather, sorry? In Texas, yeah. What's that, the cyclone belt? Oh, cyclone. The hurricane belt or whatever. Well, your hurricanes are our cyclones. Tornadoes, twisters, that's what you get inland. Michigan. Is that where Brian Barczyk has his reptarium? The weather is squiffy everywhere. Things are off here too. Yeah, you're telling me. We've ran out of rain about a month earlier than we do normally. I'm waiting to put in, I've got paddocks all ploughed up, ready to put in summer crop for my sheep to eat, and the rain's not coming. Yes, oh, you'll have to visit. I'd love to visit the reptarium one day. Somebody should visit and tell him that he needs to watch Wicked Wildlife. That'd be a way to get our videos out there and get more people on board. Get somebody famous like Brian to talk to us. The more people we can get to like Australian animals, the better. Because like I said, unfortunately, Australians, while a lot of us do care, a lot of us simply don't know. The only way we're going to start looking after our animals is when people from other countries start saying, why don't you look after this? Or we want to see that. I am going back to the reptarium anytime. Yeah, well, make sure you mention us. We'll probably laugh. We're a tiny channel. But you've got to start something. Love to have a black-headed python. Actually, now that you mention it, I don't have a black-headed python, but I do have a local lady who's an older lady who has a collection of animals that she's about to rehome. So we might be given a black-headed python, some black snakes, some albino carpet pythons, all sorts of things that we'll either have to rehome or work on to the point where they can be used for educational shows. She's just old enough that she can't handle these animals anymore. Her black-headed python's quite large. She's got a bitey olive python. And she just needs good homes for them. So she's donating them to us. Haven't seen thorny devils for ages. Used to see lots. Oh, I'd love to see thorny devils in the wild. I've only ever seen one in captivity. And it was one that was brought to Victoria somebody had caught it and brought it to Victoria and then realised they're very, very hard to look after. So it was kept by Victorian under permit until they could arrange for it to go back to Alice Springs, I believe. How many animals do I look after? Roughly 200 to 300. Depends if you include sheep. Like we've got 100 sheep, we've got 8 horses, we've got 7 dogs. But reptiles and birds and mammals, about 100, 200. You helped Brian build the Reptarian. That's awesome. I'd love to meet Brian one day. Like I said, wildlife or reptile YouTubers don't get any bigger than Brian, so it'd be fantastic to ask him about, what could we be doing? Because what we really want is just to be able to talk to as many people as possible. As I said, we need the world to care about Australian wildlife before Australia will wake up and start caring about our wildlife as well. So, it'd be fantastic to one day get to twist Brian's arm and chew his ear off a bit. I've always wanted to ask a YouTuber if they enjoyed making videos like a child, pretend and use your imagination. You're really talking, whoop, I don't read quick enough. Talking to nothing but the camera. Yeah, I I never was an outgoing person. I lost my first job at a pet store when I was 14 because I was too shy to deal with other people. So a few years later, I got a job public speaking, doing reptile shows, and had to work my way up from there. So yeah, I enjoy making videos. I'm not into the technology and stuff, so like editing, I'm terrible at. I'm not good with cameras. But when I get to see that, maybe 1,000 people watch a video. If 1,000 people learnt a fact because of me, that's really cool. So, especially reptiles, you guys need the Australian DNR officers. What's DNR? DNR, I thought it stands for do not resuscitate. But yeah, Laurie, if you want to make a YouTube channel, just go for it. If I can make videos, anybody can. So about opossums. Have I seen the US opossum? No, I haven't seen an American opossum. They're highly illegal to bring in. Even zoos cannot bring opossums into Australia. But we have our possums, which are still marsupials, but been separated for 80 million years, like a long, long time. Department of Natural Resources. Yeah, so we have our own parks and wildlife in every state, and there's a National Parks and Wildlife Service, which is our equivalent. And they do their best. But the issue is, a lot of people overseas want our reptiles. So there's large amounts of stuff getting smuggled out of Australia, unfortunately. Which, I can't blame them for wanting our reptiles, but if you really are a reptile lover, you should want it from a sustainable source, shouldn't you? So... excuse me, it's a bit of a rougher. Well, yeah, well, look at, shingleback lizards. They're worth $200 a piece here, and I saw a guitar later. Am I good at playing it, or am I learning to play? I'm highly mediocre. I've played since I was about 18, though, so... Oh. I don't know. Played for 15 years, but only bits and pieces here and there. Yeah. Not much of a guitarist. Just enough to... Do I have tiger qualls? No, I'd love tiger qualls. I can't have everything, and we need to get more shows. Australian animals going to Asia getting papers so they look legit. Yeah, and Germany, that they often get from Australia to like Hong Kong to Europe, and once they're in Europe, they can be sent anywhere. So yeah, a lot of Australian animals smuggle out, unfortunately, which is sad. Especially shinglebacks, shinglebacks are smuggled out, and shinglebacks are monogamous. So every time you poach a shingleback, its partner in the wild is not going to breed again. Sugar gliders. Sugar gliders are very cool. Most of the sugar gliders you have in the States are actually originate from Papua New Guinea, which is their own subspecies of sugar glider. They're a little bit different to ours, smaller. And I'm told that they produce infertile offspring when you cross them, which shows they've been separated for a while. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Australian sugar gliders are a tad bigger, and I keep squirrel gliders, which are bigger again, but an endangered species. So. There we go. Well, I suppose we're bidding for what is the rarest animal that I have dealt with. I not as a rare species, but as a rare individual. I've been lucky enough to catch 2 albinos in the wild. We caught a T+ albino small-eyed snake between Townsville and Charters Towers a few years ago. We didn't realise what it was because it was this like cream colour. We thought it was a Carpentaria snake. We took a photo on a really high-quality camera and did a scale count on the camera as we were on our way home, and realised it was a small-eyed snake. I think that there's the other half. That's run away, Liz. That's the most you'll ever see of Liz. And we caught an albino little whip snake as well. Albinos obviously wouldn't survive in the wild normally very well, but both of these species are what we call fossorial. They live underground or in leaf litter. So I think the fact that they're bright white was probably covered up by the fact that they're always hidden. Just got to make dinner. Yeah, I've got to do the same, guys. So I'm going to hop off and head off for the night. But yeah, thanks for all dropping by. If you haven't already, check out our Facebook page or our Patreon account if you want to help out.